All right, Shalawam, I'm back. I don't know what the hell happened. This phone abruptly ended it again. But this is a continuation of the fight for Jerusalem. Okay. The Lord is our national treasure, part 2 continuation, though. You know, it's like it don't want me to bring this part out for some reason. I don't know why. But we're going to read the commentary and we're going to read through our history that was written down in Sirach. Okay. Which I believe it goes back to the Hebrew word sharak, which means noble. Another word for noble in the Hebrew is paratham. Okay. So with that, giving all praises, glory, and honor unto YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. The name of the Father is YAHAWAH. The name of his only begotten Son is YAHAWASHI, whom the world has ignorantly called God, and Jesus Christ, in whom we do worship. We are the Hebrew Israelites, which consist of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American, and Seminole Indians, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, wherever you be. Shalawam unto you. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, that house of David. Let's continue on. The name of the Lord, our power, is our national treasure, and his son. Nations have their, natural resources and military might or whatever, or their splendor and marvelous, extravagant look, wonders of the world. But our national treasure is YAHAWAH, and through him we gain everything. So with that, let's get right into it. Now, this is the book of 1 Kings 3, but we're going to go into the commentary of it. And this is chapter 3. It says, Solomon's reign looked bloody in the foregoing chapter, but the necessary acts of justice must not be called cruelty. In this chapter, it appears with another face. We must not think the worst of Yahweh's mercy to his subjects, for his judgments on rebels we have here. Bullet point 1, Solomon's marriage to Pharaoh's daughter, which was the conjoining of those two kingdoms. It was expanding. It was an expansion of our kingdom. It was a power move. Bullet point 2, a general view of his religion, our worship, the name of our power, our God. Bullet point 3, a particular account of his prayer to Yahweh for wisdom and the answer of that prayer. Bullet point 4, a particular instance of his wisdom in deciding the controversy between the two harlots. Him making judgment calls within our nation. It was an in-house thing. It was a domestic dispute, but it was handled in wisdom through the Lord. See, our power is a power of knowledge. Our God is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed in the earth. Bullet point 5, and very great he looks here, both at the altar and on the bench, and therefore on the bench, because at the altar, 1 Kings 3 and 1 through 4, we are here told concerning Solomon. Bullet point 1, something that was unquestionably good, for which he is to be praised and in which he is to be imitated. He loved the Lord. Particular notice was taken of Yahweh's love to him. 2 Samuel 12 and 24. He had his name from it, Jedediah, which means beloved of the Lord. All right. That was another name that Solomon had. Okay. Man, that's it. And here we find he returned that love as John, the beloved disciple, was most full of love. Solomon was a wise man, a rich man, yet the brightest encomium of him is that which is the character of all the saints, which are the Israelites, even the poorest. He loved the Lord. So the Chaldee, all that love Yahawah, BAHASHAM, love his worship, love to hear from him and speak to him, and so to have communion with him. Bullet point 2, he walked in the statutes of David his father, that is, in the statutes that David gave him. His dying father's charge was sacred, and as a law to him, or in Yahweh's statutes, which David his father walked in before him, he kept close to Yahweh's ordinances, carefully observed them, and diligently attended them. Those that truly love Yahweh will make conscience of walking in his statutes. Bullet point 3. He was very free and generous in what he did for the honor of Yahweh. When he offered sacrifice, he offered like a king, in some proportion to his great wealth, 1,000 burnt offerings. And where Yahweh sows plentifully, he expects to reap accordingly. and those that truly love Yahweh and his worship will not grudge the expense of their religion. We may be tempted to say, to what purpose is this waste? Might not these cattle have been given to the poor? But we must never think that wasted which is laid out in the service of Yahweh. It seems strange how so many beasts should be burnt upon one altar and one feast, though it continues 7 days. But the fire on the altar is supposed to be more quick and devouring than common fire, for it represented that fierce and mighty wrath of Yahweh which fell upon the sacrifices, that the offerers might escape. Our Yahweh power is a consuming fire. So our God is consuming fire. Bishop Patrick quotes, "It is as tradition of the Jews, which are the Israelites, not just the Jews, but the Israelites as a whole, that the smoke of the sacrifice ascended directly in a straight pillar. It was not scattered, otherwise it would have choked those that attended. When so many sacrifices were offered, as were here, bullet point 2, here is something concerning which it may be doubted whether it was good or no." Now, they go into Solomon marrying the woman from Egypt, the Pharaoh's daughter, but it was a power move. We know what it's about, but these scholars, they bugged out and they don't really understand what's really going on. So let's see here. Start right here. 1 Kings 3 and 5 and 15. But before we do, let's read into Sirach 47. It says, after him came, well, let me actually go to 46. Read that through. Okay. So like, yeah. 46. Going into the time of Joshua. And then into the time of David. Okay. It reads, Joshua, son of Nun, was a great soldier, and the next of the prophets after Moses. He lived up. So like, what's going on? Okay. He lived he lived up to the meaning of his name as the great deliverer of the Lord's chosen people. That's the name of our Savior. His name at birth was YAHAWASHI, which means deliverer. But Moses put on YAHAWASHI, the Yah part meaning he, the he being Yahweh the Father, our power, the Most High, being the deliverer. He shall deliver you and this people into the land. But his son has that name, that title. That is his true and proper name. The second most powerful entity in all that is, the only begotten of the Father, YAHAWASHI. He delivers, he Savior. Okay, so even Joshua during his era, who is Ephraimite, lived up to that name. He defeated the enemies that attacked him so that Israel could claim its land. How magnificent it was when he raised his arm and then led the attacks on the cities. No one can stand up to him. He was fighting a holy war for the Lord, Yahweh. Now, this is the modern translation of what we're reading in the book of Sirach 46, or Ecclesiasticus 46 in the Apocrypha. It says, remember how he held back the sun and made one day as long as two, in Betheron, if I'm not mistaken. And that is recorded even in science that there's a missing day in the calendar, and that was this day. Goes to show you the truth and faithfulness of Yahweh, our power, our national treasure. Okay, to know the mysteries, the might of our God. Praise ye YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI. When his enemies were threatening him from every side, he prayed to the mighty Lord Most High, and his prayer was answered. With a hailstorm of devastating force, the Lord Yahweh Bashimashai hurled the hailstones on the enemy and destroyed them at the pass at Beth Horon, so that the nations would realize how strong Joshua was, since he was fighting as a devoted follower of the Lord Yahweh Bashimashai. Joshua was loyal as long as Moses lived, both he and Caleb, son of Jephunneh. They stood up to the whole community, the congregation of our people, the hard-headed ones of our people, which are the 2/3 in this time, made them stop their ungrateful complaining and kept them from sinning. Out of the 600,000 Israelites who marched through the wilderness, these two were the only ones spared and allowed to enter the rich and fertile land that was to be theirs. The Lord Yahawah, BAHASHAM, made Caleb strong, and when he was an old man, he was still strong enough to go up into the hill country and capture it for himself and his descendants. Then all of Israel could see how good it is to follow the Lord Yahawah, BAHASHAM. Then there were the judges, each of them famous in their own right, who never fell into idolatry and never abandoned the Lord Yahawah, BAHASHAM. May their memory be honored. May these who we honor spring from the grave to new life in their descendants. Woo! That's a reincarnation. Woo! And they're back now in the elect. Those are the judges, the kings. All right, the elect, the disciples being the top tier of that elect. David being the head of the church, Peter, if you can receive it, and all been in their order. YAHAWASHI being the chief cornerstone, okay, of this spiritual temple that is to be built in the name of the Lord, our national treasure. Okay, it says Samuel was loved by the Lord Yahawah, BAHASHAM. As the Lord's prophet, he established the kingdom and appointed rulers for the people. He judged the nation in accordance with the law of the Lord Yahawah, BAHASHAM. And the Lord Yahawah, BAHASHAM, protected Israel. Because Samuel was faithful, he was accepted as a true prophet. People trusted him as a seer because of his words. When his enemies were threatening him from every side, he called upon the mighty Lord and offered him a young lamb as a sacrifice. Then the Lord Yahawah, BAHASHAM, thundered from heaven with a mighty roar and destroyed all the enemy rulers of Philistia, the Philistines. When Samuel was about to die, he gave assurances before the Lord Yahawah, BAHASHAM, and the anointed king, that he had never taken anyone's property, not even so much as a pair of shoes, and no one contradicted him. Even after he died, he prophesied to King Saul how he would die. Out of the grave he spoke as a prophet to blot out his people's wickedness. See that? Spirit and power of Yahawah Yahushai, our national treasure, that even the man after he died still told of the future events of our people, shown to be a true prophet. Praise the Lord. And that's the testimony of Yahawashi Mashiach, even the spirit of prophecy. Now, this is the book of Sirach 47:1. After him came Nathan, who was a prophet at the time of David. As the choice fat portion of the fellowship offering is reserved for the Lord Yahawah, BAHASHAM, so David was chosen from among the Israelites. He played with lions and bears as if they were lambs or little goats. When he was still a boy, he killed a giant to rescue his people. He put a stone in his sling took aim and put an end to Goliath's bragging. He prayed to the Lord Yahawah, the Most High, and was given the strength to kill that famous soldier, so that the nations would have respect for the people, for the power of his people. Hey, woo! Let me read that again. He prayed to the Lord Yahawah, the Most High, and was given the strength to kill that famous soldier, so that the nations would have respect for the power of his people. Yahawah BAHASHAM. The people honored him for killing his tens of thousands. And when he was crowned king, they praised him for being chosen by the Lord Yahawah BAHASHAM. He wiped out all his enemies and permanently crushed the Philistines, so that they never again became a threat. And everything David did, he gave thanks and praise to the Holy Lord, the Most High. He loved his Creator and sang praises to him with all his heart. He put singers at the altar to provide beautiful music. He set the times of the festivals throughout the year and made them splendid occasions. The temple rang with the Lord Yahawah BAHASHAM's praises all day long. The Lord Yahawah forgave David's sin and established his power forever. He made a covenant with him that he and his descendants would reign in splendor over Israel. David prepared the way well for his son, a wise man to rule after him. There was no war while Solomon was king. Yahawah gave him peace on all his borders, so that he could build for the Lord Yahawah a temple which would stand forever, which in the spirit, that temple did stand forever, because that temple was always intended to be the Lord's people, and he always had a remnant. As it tells you in another place, if it was not for the remnant of the, then we would have been like unto Sodom and there unto Gomorrah. Even though those two temples that were physical were destroyed, there was always a connection that we had unto our power that could never be broken. Praise ye YAHAWASHI through his infinite mercies, through his name. That is our national treasure, though the temple was beautiful and splendid. And our land, Jerusalem, the city of peace, far as the eye can see, a beautiful city at that. The crown jewel. How is the holy city in ruins? But yet we were still, we were the gold, we were the rubies, we were the treasures, we were that city. Jerusalem is a people before it's a place, you see? And we understand that now through the name of Yahweh, that shall never be forgotten or eradicated or taken away from us, because it is the very name of the Father and Son that all things consist. Praise ye the Lord. Okay? It says, how wise you were, Solomon, when you were young. Your knowledge was like the Nile and flood. Your influence reached over all the world. Your proverbs and riddles were known everywhere. You were famous everywhere, and people loved you for bringing peace. Nations around the world held you in admiration for your songs, proverbs, parables, and witty sayings. You gathered silver and gold as if it were tin or lead, all in the name of the Lord, power of Israel. Now let's read on a little bit into this commentary, but let me keep reading on down, going into Solomon. But your lust for women was your downfall, as it was for Adam, as it was for all of us here, as we were as that woman that left the Lord and had a whorish heart. The Lord made us feel it, even by way of the person that was supposed to be our help and aid and a pillar of rest. We find no ease in a sense. And now we understand the importance of the name of Yahweh Bashimashai, that it makes us who we are, and without it, we are nothing. Just as a woman has the name of her father, and from the name of her father, she gets the name of her husband, that she carries in high esteem. And that's what we were supposed to have in the Lord, but we fell away and the Lord punished us. But now are we returned unto the Lord, seeing that it was in our mind to forsake the Lord, because of the idols and the wars that broke out and just everything that went on and how it was a part of the Lord's story. Now being returned to him, we seek him 10 times more in our perfection. This is verse 20. You stain your reputation and that of your descendants. Just as through Adam, the sons of God fell, as through Solomon, the nation was split and broken, and we fell, but not fallen away completely, but it was meant to be, so that YAHAWASHI could come on the scene. The final form of Adam and Solomon is YAHAWASHI, and he's brought us back unto the Father. BARAK YAHWASHI. It says, you stained your reputation and that of your descendants. They suffered punishment for that foolishness of yours, which caused them so much grief. It divided the nation, and a rival kingdom arose in northern Israel. But the Lord Yahweh Bashimashai will always be merciful and keep all his promises. He will never destroy the descendants of David, whom he chose and whom he loved, and who loved him, Salakia. So for Israel's sake, he allowed David's family to survive, because it was going to lead to YAHAWASHI. Solomon followed his ancestors in death and left one of his sons to rule after him. This was Rehoboam, a man of little intelligence and great foolishness, which was meant to be, whose policies caused a rebellion. And there was also the unspeakable Jeroboam, who led northern Israel in sinful ways. His people became so sinful that they were exiled from their land. They tried all kinds of wickedness until the Lord, Yahweh, took vengeance on them by Shem Yahushai. See? But it was all meant to be. This is why the Lord is our national treasure, because even in the lands that we are scattered, we can call upon his name and be brought back. You see? Barakatah Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. Now let's read this in the commentary. 1 Kings 3 and 5 through 15. We have here an account of a gracious visit which Yahweh paid to Solomon, and the communion he had with Yahweh in it, which put a greater honor upon Solomon than all the wealth and power of his kingdom did. Bullet point 1, the circumstances of this visit. The place, it was in Gibeon, that was the great high place, and should have been the only one, because there the tabernacle and the brazen altar were. There Solomon offered his great sacrifices, and there Yahweh owned him more than in any other of the high places. The nearer we come to the rule in our worship, the more reason we have to expect tokens of Yahweh's presence. Let's play this out. I'm going to play this clip from the book of Daniel. Shalawam.
He is angry with us. It will fade. By tomorrow morning, Daniel will be a distant memory, and the king will need us again.
Man, that's it. That's the first thing he asked for. Daniel asked for that mercy, man. And that's all we need. Now, reading on in this commentary, it says, because there the tabernacle and the brazen altar were, there Solomon offered his great sacrifice, and there Yahweh owned him more than in any other of the high places. The nearer we come to the rule in our worship, the more reason we have to expect the tokens of Yahweh's presence, where Yahweh records his name. There he will meet us and bless us. Woo! Bullet point 2, that the time it was by night, the night after he had offered that generous sacrifice, the more we abound in Yahweh's work, the more comfort we may expect in him. If the day has been busy for him, the night will be easy in him. Silence and retirement befriend our communion with Yahweh. His kindness visits are often in the night. His kindest visits are often in the night, in our dreams, going into, Job. The manner it was in a dream when he was asleep, his senses locked up, that Yahweh's access to his mind might be the more free and immediate. In this way, Yahweh used to speak to the prophets, Numbers 12:6, and to private persons for their own benefit, Job 33:15 and 16. These divine dreams, no doubt, were plainly distinguishable from those in which there are diverse vanities. Bullet point 2, the gracious offer Yahweh made him of the favor he should choose, whatever it might be. He saw the glory of Yahweh shine about him and heard a voice saying, ask what I shall give thee. Not that Yahweh was indebted to him for his sacrifice, but thus he would testify his acceptance of them and signify to him what great mercy he had in store for him, if he were not wanting to himself, lacking to himself. Thus he would try his inclinations and put an honor upon the prayer of faith. Yahweh, in like manner, condescends to us and puts us in the ready way to be happy by assuring us that we shall have what we will for the asking. John 16:23 and 1 John 5:14. What would we more ask? And it shall be given you. Woo! Bullet point 3, the pious request Solomon hereupon made to Yahweh, he readily laid hold of this offer. Why do we neglect the like offer made to us, like Ahaz, who said, I will not ask? Or Isaiah 7:12, Solomon prayed in his sleep, Yahweh's grace assisting him, yet it was a lively prayer. What we are most in care about, and which makes the greatest impression upon us when we are awake, commonly affects us when we are asleep. But our dreams, sometimes we may know what our hearts are upon and how our pulse beats. The Plutarch makes virtuous dreams or one evidence of increase in virtue. Yet this must be attributed to a higher source. Solomon's making such an intelligent choice as this when he was asleep and the powers of reason were least active showed that It came purely from the grace of Yahawah, which wrought in him these gracious desires. If his reins thus instruct him in the night season, he must bless the Lord who gave him counsel. Psalm 16:7. Now in this prayer, he acknowledged Yahweh's great goodness to his father David. He speaks honorably of his father's piety, that he had walked before Yahweh in uprightness of heart, drawing a veil over his faults. It is to be hoped that those who praise their godly parents will imitate them. But he speaks more honorably of Yahweh's goodness to his father, the mercy he had shown to him while he lived, in giving him to be sincerely religious, and then recompensing his sincerity and the great kindness he had kept for him to be bestowed on the family when he was gone, in giving him a son to sit on his throne. Children should give God, Yahweh, for his mercies, their parents. Thanks, Salakia, should give thanks, should give YAHAWASHI thanks for his mercies to their parents. For the sure mercies of David, Yahweh's favors are doubly sweet when we observe them transmitted to us through the hands of those that have gone before us. The way to get the entail perpetuated is to bless Yahweh by Shemashai that has hitherto been preserved. See that? So Barak Shemashai for this commentary, and let's read on into a little more of this history, and we're gonna close on out. Is Sirach 48:1. Let's read. Then there arose the fiery prophet Elijah, whose words blazed like a torch. He brought a famine on the people, and many of them died because of his persistence. Speaking in the name of the Lord, see the name of the Lord again, he kept the rain from coming, and on 3 occasions he called down fire. Elijah, your miracles were marvelous. No one else can boast of such deeds. In the name of the Most High, you brought a dead man back to life. You brought a famous king down to sickness and death. At Sinai, you heard the Lord rebuke you and declare his determination to punish his enemies. You anointed a king to be the instrument of that punishment, which is Jehu of the northern kingdom, and a prophet to take your place, Elisha. You were taken up to heaven in a fiery whirlwind, a chariot drawn by fiery horses, which is what the world is ignorantly called UFO. Elijah was beamed up, taken up. YAHAWASHI was taken in the same manner. He's going to return. And also Enoch was taken because he walked with the Lord. And all these men had one thing in common: walking in the name of the Lord, knowing the name of their power, and calling upon the name of their power. Okay? YAHAWASHI told us, and who have seen the Father that may tell us, but he's seen the Father, and he was the express image of his Father. And he gave the name of his Father unto us, his men, and the world have hated us. But the Lord is going to keep us through his mighty name from all dangers and from all evil. Praise ye Yahweh, the Father, and YAHAWASHI, the Son. And whatever we ask in his name, the Father may give it us. It says the scriptures say that you are ready to appear at the designated time. We know that Elijah came again as John the Baptist, and he also came again as Abba, if you can receive it, Abba Bivens, the teacher of our teachers. Okay, the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. They gave us our national treasure, and we have given unto our brethren and those that come in that household of faith our national treasure. Okay, and has sent shivers down the spines of our enemies and hope into the minds and hearts of our people, those that come with a sincere and good heart, good mind towards the Lord. Says the scriptures says that you are ready to appear at the designated time to cool Yahweh's anger by Shemashai before it breaks out in fury, that you will bring parents and children together again, returning us into our heritage and having our heritage returned to us, and restore the tribes of Israel, because he's a prophet. And that's why we have the tribe sign, because we needed it in this time, because we had discontinued from our heritage, which the Lord gave us, as is recorded in Jeremiah. It says, fortunate are those who live to see you come, woo, as well as those who have already died in love, for we too shall live through Mashiach. See that? When Elijah was hidden by the whirlwind, Elisha was filled with his spirit. As long as he lived, he was not afraid of rulers. and they could not make him do as they wished. Nothing was too hard for him. Even when he was dead, his body worked a miracle. So going into Elisha's bones made a man that was dead come back to life. In life and in death, he performed amazing miracles. But in spite of all this, the people did not abandon their sinful ways until they were taken from their land, the northern kingdom, as prisoners and scattered all over the world, going into the southern kingdom as well. That's why we're scattered sheep. That's why the Lord is calling us back through his name. In the lands of our captivity shall we remember ourselves and call upon his name, our national treasure, which connects us back to the commonwealth of Israel. We were strangers once, but now, and aliens to the commonwealth of Israel, but now we return through the name of YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI. It says this left the nation few in number, the elect, but those who remained were still ruled by the descendants of David, going into the time of YAHAWASHI. All right, now those that are remaining in the elect are the descendants whereof that house of David, even though we may not be his direct sons, whereof his house, right? And David is like a father over the nation, as a shepherd over the flock, and he's the head of the church, just as the father is the head of the house, and we're waiting on the return of our master, even Yahawashi HaMashiach, the King of Kings, to sit on the throne of his father David and forward his throne. For there are set thrones, even thrones in the house of David. All right. So reading on, it says some people did what was pleasing to the Lord, but others committed sin after sin. Hezekiah prepared his city to resist a siege and provided it with a water supply. He had a tunnel built through solid rock with iron tools and had cisterns built to hold the water. During his reign, Sennacherib attacked the city and sent his chief officials from Lachish. He challenged Jerusalem and boasted arrogantly. The people lost their courage and shook with fear. They were in pain like a woman in labor. But they prayed to the merciful Lord. See, the name of our God was our national treasure. You know, where we had a city, we had an army, we had all those things, but none of those things strengthened the might of our people or gave them assurance, but the name of the Lord did. And when even Hezekiah was, going to sleep with his fathers, he prayed unto the Lord, and the Lord gave him 15 more years of life through the name which he called upon, that he gained strength to live longer than what was appointed, only through the Father, BAHASHAM Yahawashi, the Father Yahweh, in the name of Yahawashi. Because like Yahawashi has given us life through the Father. As the Father have life in himself, so doth the Son have life in himself to give it to whomsoever he will. So as the people lost their courage and shook with fear, they were in pain like a woman in labor. But they prayed to the merciful Lord and the Holy One in heaven, who quickly answered their prayers and sent Isaiah to save them, a prophet. The Lord struck the Assyrian camp. His angel wiped them out. Yes, Hezekiah did what was pleasing to the Lord and firmly followed the example of his ancestor David. This was what was commanded by the great prophet Isaiah, whose visions were trusted. He made the sun move backward and lengthened the king's life. He comforted the mourners in Jerusalem. His powerful spirit looked into the future, and he predicted what was to happen before the end of time, hidden things that had not yet occurred. Prophecy. Through the name of our power do we understand these things. Praise you, the Lord. All right. I'm going to go through this last chapter, and Lord's willing, it's been edifying. This is our Sirach 49, modern translation, in the Apocrypha. Okay. You can get it online. Just put in modern translation Apocrypha, and it should be the first thing you see after you click on the ledger of Google. And you can get it and you can read it in a modern translation, because some of our people don't really understand the Old English as well. And this makes it a little easier for you to read it out. It says the memory of Josiah is as sweet as the fragrance of the expertly blended incense, sweet as honey to the taste, like music with wine at a banquet. He followed the correct policy of reforming the nation and removed the horrors of idolatry. See, all these things occur through the name, our national treasure. Even in our mess ups and falls, and you see the different falls of certain kings and men, we're still loved of the Lord and still held within his hand, because of his name being so great, not us, his name and the name of his son being so great, and we calling upon those names to be made great again. All right. It says he was completely loyal to the Lord, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, and strengthened true religion, true worship in those wicked times. And we're doing the same thing in these wicked times through the name of our power. All the kings except David, Hezekiah, and Josiah were terrible sinners because they abandoned the law of the Most High to the very end of the kingdom, which certain other kings were on point, but they didn't do everything they could have done. But it's all through the spirit and power of the Lord. It says they surrendered their power and honor to foreigners who set fire to the holy city and left its streets deserted, just as Jeremiah had predicted, prophesied. Jeremiah had been badly treated, even though he was chosen as a prophet before he was born, to uproot and to pull down, to destroy and to overthrow, but also to build and to plant. It was Ezekiel who was shown the vision of the divine glory over the chariot and the living creatures, the UFOs and our brothers, the angels coming out of those ships that shall return in our time, even now in these end times with the Lord. And only through the name of YAHAWASHI do we understand these things and believe these things and are assured of these things. BARAK YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. He also referred to the prophet Job, who also did the right thing. May the bones of the 12 prophets rise to new life. Whew. Thing that makes me think of the 12 apostles, because these men encouraged the people of Israel and saved them with confident hope. How can we praise Zerubbabel, who was like a signet ring on the Lord's right hand? As was Joshua, son of Jehozadak. They rebuilt the Lord Yahweh BAHASHAM's holy temple, destined for eternal fame. And as us being that temple, ultimately, our bodies, the people of the Lord being his temple, the chief cornerstone being his son, even Yahawashi Mashiach, that we are fitly framed and joined together in, beginning with the hopeful elect. The memory of Nehemiah is also great. He rebuilt the ruined walls of Jerusalem, installing the gates and bars. He rebuilt our homes. No one else, like Enoch, has ever walked the face of the earth, for he was taken up from the earth. Which you go into Enoch, that goes into the Hebrew word chanuach, which means learned man or trained. And the Lord is training us in his commandments and statutes, in his rules, in his ways, to make us an image of his own eternity, as is Hamashiach, a mirror that we must follow, a captain and finisher of our faith. So that we may be like Enoch and taken from the earth, taken up and changed. Verse 15, no one else like Joseph has ever been born. Even his bones were honored. You see that? And let us be like Joseph. Even though we're being slavery, the Lord is dealing with us so that we may save many alive, and that our posterity shall continue. As Joseph was a stay for his brethren and his father, let us be a stay for our people, the elect that shall return and come back, that their children shall not see hell, the grave. It says Shem, Seth, and Enosh. Okay, Enos, these are great men. Shem had the name of the Lord from the time of Noah, one of the 8 persons that survived the flood. Seth, which was replaced Abel after he was slew by Cain, was a great man because he was given in exchange, and through him the righteous line came. And Enos, in his era and in his time, did men begin to call upon the name of Yahawah. All right. And now we call on the name of Yahweh the Father and his son Yahawashi. It says Shem, Seth, and Enos were highly honored, but Adam's glory, and we know who Adam is, was above that of any other living being. Why? Because he was breathed into by the Father, even Yahweh, and we know who he is because we know who the second Adam is, even Yahawashi, that through Adam all die, but through a Mashiach all shall live. All of Israel shall live, whether it be on this side or the next. But we know that through the name of Yahawah that through the name of Yahawah Bashim Shai, all these things are possible. That through the name of Yahawah Bashim Shai, all these things are possible. But that through the name of Yahawah Bashim Shai, all these things are possible. That through the name of Yahawah, the Father, Bashim, in the name, Yahawashi, the Son, all these things are possible. in the RAWCHAA QADASH, the Holy Spirit. So with that, Lord's willing, you've been edified with this lesson, giving all praises, glory, and honor unto YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, BAHASHAM, RAWCHAA QADASH, by whom we do function, double honors unto my apostles, my elders, and my teachers at Great Millstone that are ruling well and continue to do so. Salutations, peace, and blessings unto the hopeful elect, that house of David, to you brothers out there fighting this good fight of faith, keep it up. To you sisters out there doing that which is becoming the women, Shalawam. And to those that are addicted unto this ministry, I say, Shalawam. Lord's willing, you have been edified. Until the next time, I say, Shalawam. Love our history, love our culture, love our ways, love our worship, love our religion, and ultimately love the name of our God and of his anointed. For that makes us us, YAHAWASHI, even the princes of the power, and a nation on high, a nation beloved, and a nation near unto the Father and his Son. So with that, Shalawam, on to the next one. Shalawam.